So when is the right time to buy London property? Well, you might answer, it depends. Of course, when you look at a long-term perspective, the right time was 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or maybe even today. And the right answer, I think, when you look at it right now, is that London property is hugely discounted now compared to where it has been. There is a lot of uncertainty in the market, and it's not improved with the upcoming budget, and no doubt whatever happens in the budget, there'll be even more uncertainty. But the people I'm speaking to who are professional investors, they are busy buying right now, and they are buying at the right price, and they're looking actively for opportunities. And what we're also seeing is that banks, financial institutions, large financial institutions are also buying residential property right now for cash. So you can say that where the big money flows, that's where the opportunity is. So as I mentioned, property is currently on sale in London. And as you can see in this chart, prices have really dropped significantly across the whole of London. And it's a real opportunity to buy. And what does this mean for rental income? Well, as property prices have dropped, rental prices have increased. So yields in London are surprisingly high. The yield is basically the gross rental income divided with the average purchase price of the property. And that shows what kind of rental income you could get from the property right now if you were to buy it. And so while you might be buying a home for yourself or for an adult child or a family member, it's always worth considering what the actual rental investment could be also. And I believe personally that rental prices will only increase, and that certainly in London, we don't need to be as concerned about the Renters Reform Act. As long as we are good landlords, we take care of the property and we manage it well. And we also make sure to select the right tenants. And that's all about managing the asset. Another way of looking at things is that the stock market, you might think, is rather toppy right now, maybe even in a bubble with artificial intelligence. And certainly if you look at the long-term view on the stock market and where it is, it certainly does look like it's very high and it's ripe for a correction. Naturally, I can only share what I'm seeing with my own eyes, and I'm not a financial advisor. However, those who are invested in the crypto market might regret not having got off their crypto investments about a month ago, and now might be facing the situation of sitting through a rather sharp downturn. And certainly, if there is an AI bubble in the stock market, when it will drop and retrace, it might even be a sharp retracement over several years. Why not instead get in on property where the long-term trend is inevitably stacked in your favor due to, for example, currency debasement, which must happen over term and has happened over thousands of years? The value of the property will increase, of course, in fiat currency. But what that means to you as an investor is that your assets will be protected long term. And if there is a currency debasement situation, it will be much safer than keeping that money in the bank. You might say, well, it's not the right time for me personally because I'm very busy. I'm so busy with work, or I'm so busy with my family, or I live abroad. I don't have time to come to London and do it. Well, this is where choosing a good London property buyer can really come handy. And I specialize in helping busy and remote buyers to buy property in London, residential property. And I help them from the beginning to select the right area where the right opportunity might be, all the way through to handing them the keys to the property and giving them advice about setting up bills, etc. And there's a lot of support that is required when you are doing this abroad, as you might not be familiar with the rules and regulations in London. And finally, you might think, well, that all sounds rather expensive. And I would disagree. And certainly the way I work with my clients is that I help to make sure that everything is a cost saving, all the way from negotiating the property to making sure that I work with suppliers who are not taking advantage of vulnerable cash rich buyers from abroad, to make sure that it actually ultimately becomes a cost saving, as well as saving you time, stress, and you might even enjoy the process. I hope I can support you to make a life-changing investment decision for you and your family, one which will hopefully last for generations. Thank you so much for listening from the heart of Mayfair. Thank you.